How we doing? Good evening, everybody. Hope you're good. Welcome along to Paranormal Monkey Podcast again. Just a big thank you and for all those who I met at the Parameet of the weekend. Had a really, really good time. Ali, Sadie, Mickey York, the whole bunch of you, Barry. There's a whole load of you. Had a really, really good time. And yeah, so enough of all that. It's going to be quite an interesting one, I think. I think there's a whole bunch of you actually in the chat that have never heard of the Green Man, which I'm really surprised by. So we're going to be learning something new this evening. So without further ado, let me bring in Emma from Ghost Catch Isles. Hello.
Hi there.
How are we doing?
Nice to be here. I've been in the audience before, but never a speaker. So never a guest.
It's all good. It's all good. All very kind of lovely and relaxed in here. So, and you know what's coming. This part of the podcast where you'll have to introduce yourself to those that don't know of you, Emma, and to say a little bit about Ghost Catch Isles as well.
Yeah. So I'm Emma. I'm a blogger and writer. I've got a passion for the eerie and the unexplained. I started out as a paranormal investigator in Ireland many, many moons ago. It's probably about 15 years ago now, with a small team in Dublin. I started my blog just kind of documenting the investigations really and writing about a few topics and stuff when I was there. Sadly, that team is long gone, and I've kept my love of the paranormal. I've recently realised it's kind of the history and the stories around things that have attracted me more rather than investigation. And that's where the blog has kind of come out of hibernation the past couple of years. It grew into a wider interest in folklore, ghost stories, cryptids, UFO, all things 14. All that
and
kind of stuff.
Can I say, your top is on point.
Thank you.
The Green Man, I did notice, is really good. That's
Green Man has made an appearance in my life. Like it popped up in Vinted. It was meant to be. It was
amazing, amazing.
Yeah. So I'm in Bristol now, and I write about folklore and paranormal, and I've been in like Haunted Magazine, Unexplained, i.e. East Anglian Folklore Centre, places like that. So, yeah.
Fabulous. Now then, the Green Man. Now, for most people in the UK that have either heard of the Green Man, or at least seen a Green Man pub, they may have seen Green Man sculptures in churches, but he is a really, really kind of enigmatic kind of figure. There's a lot of mystery that surrounds the whole folklore around the Green Man. So I suppose the very first question has to be, where does the Green Man stem from? Where did he come from? Who is he?
So, imagine walking into a medieval church. Oh, actually, could pop my
I shall
slide
put the
2 on.
slides on. It's always good to have accompanying slides. Here we go.
So slide 2.
There we go.
So, yeah, I've popped a little poem on there, about the Green Man. So you can see, an example of a green man there. So imagine walking into a medieval church and looking up, seeing a face staring back at you. Instead of hair, leaves are curling from his mouth and eyes, sometimes nose in the case of this chap. These are called foliate heads, or these days we call them green men.
Right.
So he's often thought of as a kind of ancient entity from British folklore, but he's a global decorative motif.
Okay.
And his origins are it goes back beyond the British Isles. There's evidence that trace its early examples of the foliate head to Roman times. In temples, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
kind of that far back then, pre-Christian
Yeah.
times, then, basically. And I thought he was pagan, so really it's kind of pagan, but going back to the Romans then.
Yeah. Well, also you've got examples in Jain temples in India, also in Turkey, Iraq, and Lebanon. So he's kind of like a motif from all over, not necessarily pagan as such, but
Yeah.
he's definitely an artistic kind of architectural motif. And yeah, could be connected. He's more of an archetype rather than a particular deity.
Yeah. So he's not a particular. There's no individual that's known. He's not some kind of
No,
god or anything like that.
no, not from history. I suppose you could say that he's become one now,
Yeah.
because he's kind of a modern invention now, the Green Man. That term was actually invented in about, I think it was 1939, by a folklorist called Lady Raglan.
Oh.
She went into some churches in, I think, in Wales, and saw these foliate head sculptures, and she felt that they probably were something to do with ancient pagan gods, and she wrote about this in the folklore journal back in the day, and that got quite popular.
Yeah.
And it kind of linked ideas of nature spirits and rebirth and pre-Christian pagan origins, but there's actually not a lot of concrete evidence for that at all. So it's just kind of a popular idea which took off.
So he wouldn't have been known under any kind of name, even though he appears in medieval churches all throughout, not just England, but throughout the UK and across Europe as well. So they wouldn't have named him particularly.
No, he wouldn't have had a name, until she came along and she coined that term, the Green Man, and that's what he's became known as. He's kind of, she suggested he's associated with some of the festivals like May Day,
Yeah.
Jack in the Green, maybe Green Man pub signs, that kind of thing. But kind of a lot of academics and scholars don't really agree with that theory, especially as a lot of those festivals and things are actually relatively modern. But it kind of stuck in public imagination that it was something pagan and older and linked to these things.
Yeah,
Could you
exactly.
pop on slide 3, please?
Oh, well,
Thank
there you go.
So bringing it to Jack in the Green, it's kind of where I got my first interest in the Green Man. I had seen the Green Man about, I'd seen little sculptures, that kind of thing in churches. I'd seen little faces staring down at me and things. But I really got interested kind of last year when I attended the Jack in the Green festival in Bristol.
It's really
And
fascinating.
yeah,
I'm kind of assuming, and I could be wrong here, that the Green Man is linked to spring, but is that necessarily the case?
well, the foliate heads, and historically, not necessarily, but
Right. Okay.
modern times, basically, folklore kind of grows. You put on what significance you want on different things. So these days, yeah, there's a link, and this is an example really, because you probably look at that and you think, well, that's definitely a green man, because he's got like it's a big frame there. There's the green face in the middle. You can't quite see the green face.
Yeah.
but this actual festival is only from about the 18th century.
Oh, okay.
So you'd think it's something, really pagan and maybe inspired by,
Yeah.
ideas of renewal and, things like that around the May Day customs. But it was actually, it was from the 18th century. It evolved from May Day customs where milkmaids and chimney sweeps carried this frame during processions.
Okay.
So, so they kind of.
Why milkmaids and chimney sweeps? Do you
I
know?
think.
Or is
I
it...
think I'm not sure about milkmaids. But I think with chimney sweeps, it was something to do with they go through and perhaps they get a bit of money and that kind of thing for doing it.
Oh, okay.
So in spring, obviously, it's not there. And summer is not the main time of year that people want their chimneys cleaned because they're, not
Yeah.
not having fires.
Yeah.
So
So
it's a way to get
the
a bit of cash.
they're skint, basically.
Yes,
What I
yeah.
say. Yeah.
So it kind of started off from the milkmaids, and the chimney sweeps kind of took it over and made it their own as well. And these frames got bigger and more elaborate like this with the leaves and things on it. And so one thing I was going to say actually, there's definitely the possible pagan motifs of death, life, and renewal to this
Yeah.
festival. But of course, he's not really a green man because it's relatively modern. But he does have whifflers. So those,
I've never heard of whifflers before, ever.
so the guys at the front there, and I think there's some ladies dressed as whifflers as well. Those are a type of, they're often called green men. I think in Hastings they have whifflers, and I think they're definitely called green men there. And they are dressed in all foliage and things like that. And they're there. They accompany the jack in the procession, and they basically get people out of the way of the procession. They
Right. Okay.
make way. And some of them actually were painting people's noses green, and if you got a green nose, that was good luck for the summer. And I got myself a green nose this year. So
I love the weirdness of this. Go on.
yeah, well, that's what sparked my curiosity in it. If you want to put slide 4 on,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a closer up. There he is,
Wow, look at
dressed in the green.
him. He looks so
Yeah.
good. It looks like
He
a massive Christmas tree, but yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah. He goes throughout Bristol, and he stops at different pubs along the way and does a little dance, and the whifflers and stuff stop and have a drink, and they end up I think Horfield Common,
Right.
kind of quite away into Bristol, and that's where he basically gets killed. Symbolically, not
Yeah.
not the poor chap dressed as the Jap, but as the Jack. But yeah, he gets killed, and people take leaves away to bring them luck in the spring. So that's where you got
Okay.
the new life regeneration and stuff of
Yeah.
getting rid of winter, making way for summer thing. So that was what kind of sparked my interest. But looking into it, that's where I found out that it's modern, and he's not necessarily he's kind of a green man motif. He's an
Yeah.
archetype, but he isn't the green man. So yeah,
It's
you got
it's interesting. It's kind of slightly sinister,
yeah.
but I mean, is that with my modern eyes? It looks quite similar, but I suppose at the time it was kind of a celebration when they first did all of
Yeah,
this.
I think it's a celebration, and actually, when you go along with the procession, it is quite celebratory. We followed it along a good way,
Yeah.
and people playing music. There was Morris dancers. It was quite fun. It was quite celebratory. But yeah, I suppose the end bit. I didn't actually go to the end bit because it's quite a distance away, where they symbolically kill the Jack. That does seem a bit sinister, but
Yeah.
it's to make way for new life, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
got that celebration aspect. So in reality, the Green Man is more of a symbol than a single figure.
Than anything
Yeah,
else. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Do you want to move on to the next one?
No, I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're okay with that. I've only got a few slides, so
I was just going to say, like, in terms of, because obviously he could be linked to many different things. So what kind of, what other things is the Green Man linked to? Because you said about, renewal and life and things like that. So are there a number of themes that he's linked to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the kind of more modern things he's linked to is kind of industrialization and kind of he's kind of made a reappearance now because he resonates with people
Yeah.
because of ecological,
Right. Okay.
environmental problems, industrialization, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he also represents humanity's connection to the natural world. But yeah, I think I've got a little bit more about that later. There's a few
Okay.
kind of different things that he's kind of linked to.
And I mean, obviously, we mentioned obviously that these sculptures appear in churches, in medieval churches,
Mm,
particularly, throughout the UK. But why? Why
yeah.
is this kind of pagan symbol found within Christian churches? To me, it just doesn't make sense to me. But
Well, this is where it gets quite interesting because there's questions whether he's a pagan symbol at all,
right,
particularly
okay,
in the churches. So at his core, the Green Man, he's a decorative, architectural, and artistic motif, really. So not specifically a mythological character. Um, so you see those foliate heads, which you saw in that first picture.
yeah,
That's it's a human. It's typically male, although sometimes you can get females, and occasionally you get animals as well. I've seen some animal ones, like I've seen a foliate cow, I've seen a foliate cat as well. So
wow. So
there's you
I
get
mean I've seen some
variations.
very weird medieval paintings and things of similar kind of stuff. They
Mm,
did go slightly mad with their imagination thing. So yeah,
yeah,
I love the fact that we got cows and cats in there for no real
exactly.
reason. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you get the variations, but they're usually surrounded by or made from leaves and foliage, as I say, either coming out of their nose or ears or eyes, or you know, um, the ones where they're growing directly from the mouth and nose
Yeah,
orifices. They're called disgorging, which sounds a bit horrible, but
that's nice.
that's disgorging foliate head. But,
Yeah,
yeah, so you find them in architecture of churches and cathedrals across Europe and the UK, and there's a couple of theories about why. Um, so there's been a widespread. The motif has had a widespread and ancient international presence, really. As I mentioned earlier, there's some of them found in countries other than Britain. There's quite a lot. Um, you can
yeah.
find them in Roman temples in
See,
Turkey.
see, that surprises me because I
Mm,
thought the Green Man. To be honest, I originally put that the Green Man was like a central character in English folklore. Then I changed that
mm,
to the UK folklore. But you're basically saying it's much wider than
mm.
that.
Well, you could say he's become much more popular, and folklore. He's almost a modern folklore now, I think.
Yeah,
He's because he's become so popular. But yeah, you can find him in Turkey, also in the Jain temples in India. Um, I think I was reading a book by Mike Harding, who said they found documented examples in second century um, kind of Iraq and Lebanon as well. There's ones dating for the second century in those countries too. So
yeah.
yeah, he's not
He's
necessarily
everywhere.
from Europe. Um,
And
in
do you think he means the same thing to different nationalities? Is the theme the same?
Well, I don't think anyone would really knows what he means to different countries and different nationalities. He could just be artistic. He could be a motif.
Yeah,
He could come from a similar archetype, though. The similar idea. But I know Professor Ronald Hutton, has got a theory around how he's got to the UK, which is quite an interesting one, and it stems from India as well.
okay.
So he feels that the foliate head was a motif originally developed in India, and it travelled through the medieval Arab Empire through trade and merchants, that kind of thing, to
Yeah.
Christian Europe. Um, when it got to Europe, it became decoration for monks' manuscripts.
Ah, yeah, yeah, of course. I get that.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so they're just decorating with this interesting motif that they see, and then it's spread out to the churches as a result. So he feels that it's more to do with that kind of like this artistic kind of transmission through different countries there via trade.
Yeah.
But there's also the theory that it developed within Christianity itself as well, which is another interesting idea. Because you see these in these 12th century churches. So the idea there is that the figures he's got a specific Christian meaning from its inception, and it sprung up from that.
Yeah.
So example there is that some of the early carvings look more like skulls with plants sprouting from them, kind
Right.
of
Okay.
like memento mori type thing.
I'm just going to go back a
Mm,
second to this first one.
yeah,
So these are the kind of sculptures we talk about, but you say there was almost kind of skeletal sculptures in
yeah.
these churches.
You can get these almost like memento moris. So reminders of death and resurrection.
Yeah.
Um, and you've got others tie into biblical legends. Like there's a story of seeds from Eden being planted in Adam's mouth and growing into a tree that then provided Christ's cross.
Right.
So there
I've
got a
never
tree
heard
growing
that.
out of the mouth.
I've
Yeah,
never heard that before.
yeah. So that's
It
that's
it's
quite an
funny,
interesting one too.
are they I mean, is it me, or has basically the Christian church kind of similar to other pagan symbols, have they taken a pagan symbol and Christianized it, basically? Does it
Well, I think from this theory, they're saying that it actually sprang up of its own kind of right rather than them taking a pagan symbol.
Oh, okay.
Um, so yeah, you've got the memento mori, early instances of that in France, and then you've got the symbol of the true cross there, which is I think the son of Adam was it was called the Legend of Seth, I think, the son of Adam,
Right,
and
okay.
that's where you see the tree growing out of the mouth, which eventually makes wood for Jesus's cross. So we don't know for certain. If a pagan symbol has been taken and changed for Christianity, but it could
Yeah,
also have just sprung up because of these actual legends that they've got. And there is quite a link with Christianity and resurrection and life, death, and rebirth and stuff.
yeah.
So um, that's got its motif there as well, hasn't it? It's kind of quite similar. So
Absolutely, yeah. So I was gonna just nip to that back to that one again. Do you want to move on to this one?
yeah, I think that's
So
a few questions along, but
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say the obviously we said one of the questions I had earlier
Mm.
was that
Oh yeah.
saying that he's obviously, how do we know that he predates Christianity? If he's found throughout churches, so how do we know he predates
Mm.
Christianity?
Well, we know that the motif appears in other countries.
Yeah,
As I say, like we've found him in like eight countries in like second and eighth centuries and that kind of thing. But we don't know that he's necessarily a pagan deity or anything like that. We just know there's this artistic motif, this
yeah,
archetype there. So yeah, he's actually quite mysterious. A lot of the stuff we don't actually know.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. It is kind of fascinating that but we're saying that he's not meant to represent a single person or a single god. That like I say, it's more of
He's
a
a
symbol
mix.
than
Yeah,
anything. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Now, but the thing is with him is obviously these kind of some of these symbols, they can act. I mean, I said this about this green man in the
Mm,
procession things. He can seem quite sinister, but then I've seen
mm,
other sculptures where he looks quite benign, he looks quite friendly, and people have we'll mention this later on, but have his kind of sculptures of him in gardens and things now. So
yeah.
are the sculptures very different, wherever it is that you go, or is there always that kind of similarity with how he looks?
Um, what do you mean similarity?
Well, obviously he's the with the leaves coming out of his mouth and things like that. Is that the same throughout whichever country he is in? Is that
If he's going to be a green man, he will generally have that kind of stuff going on, or they think he's kind of a green man archetype thing.
yeah,
You do get some. I mean, you get like the wild man or wood roses, which he's also linked to the kind of green man archetype, but he's not quite the same.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like a hairy kind of wild man who lives in the forest,
I was
covered in leaves and
I was going to say, do you have any kind of favorite stories that are linked to the Green Man?
Yes, I do, and I've got one to read to you if that's
Okay,
okay. I've
cool.
got a couple actually. Let's have a look what I've done with them. So yeah, there's a couple of good ones. There's I mean they're not, as I say, they're the archetype of the Green Man, but they're there isn't any particular Green Man, but these are ones that people say are archetypes of him.
Yeah,
So you've got in the Arthurian tales, you've got Gawain and the Green Knight.
which is this guy.
That's
Yeah.
that's the chap. Yeah, so that one is thought to be Green Man motif. So I'll read you a little bit of that for you. So on a cold New Year's Eve, King Arthur's court is feasting when suddenly the doors burst open. A giant knight rides in, not in armour, but entirely in green. His skin, his hair, even his horse, all in green. He challenges the knight to a strange game. Any man may strike him a single blow with his axe, but in 1 year's time he'll return the same blow. Sir Gawain, Arthur's nephew, steps forward. He seizes the axe, and with one mighty swing, cuts off the Green Knight's head. But instead of falling dead, the knight calmly picks up his severed head, holds it aloft, and says, "I'll see you in 1 year and a day at the Green Chapel." Then he rides away, leaving the court in stunned silence and Gawain bound by his word. A year later, Gawain keeps his word and rides out to find the Green Chapel. Along the way, he's tested. He's offered comfort, riches, even a lady's affection. But he struggles to balance honesty with survival. When he finally kneels before the Green Knight, ready to lose his head, the axe only nicks him. The knight reveals it was all a test of his honour. Gawain isn't perfect, but he's proven brave enough to face death and humble enough to admit his flaws. He returns home not as a flawless hero, but as a wiser man, marked by the little scar on his neck, a reminder of his own humanity. So that story from the Arthurian tales, the Green Knight is, the Green Man
Yeah.
motif there in another form. He kind of embodies nature's power,
Right. Okay.
terrifying and renewing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got the beheading there, life continuing after death, that kind of motif that is seen with the Green Man.
I was going to say that's the similar kind of that imagery, that motif that you say just is repeating again and again and again in
Yeah.
different ways. That's really good.
Yeah. So the cycle of death and rebirth there, and yeah. So that's quite a nice one. And you've also got another one far older, which is linked to the Green Man motif, which is from the Epic of Gilgamesh from Mesopotamia.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that's that's quite an old one.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a little bit of the story there. He's more of a wild man in some ways, but there's definitely links.
Yeah.
So it's Enkidu from the Epic of Gilgamesh. Long ago in Mesopotamia, the gods created a wild man to balance the pride of the king Gilgamesh. His name was Enkidu. He lived among the animals, drinking at rivers, running free with the herds. His body was covered in hair, his mind untamed. But the people feared him, and so a woman was sent to civilize him. She taught him bread, beer, and love. And
Of
after
course. Sorry. So that's how you tame a man.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
And after that, the animals fled from him, for he was no longer one of them. Enkidu, now half wild and half human, journeyed to the city of Uruk. There he wrestled Gilgamesh in a battle that shook the very walls. And when neither man won, they became brothers instead. Together they defied the gods, slaying monsters, seeking glory. But when Enkidu fell ill as punishment, he cursed the day he left the wild. His death broke Gilgamesh's heart and taught him that no king, no warrior, no man can escape mortality. So there you've got a kind of green man figure born in the wild. And it reminds us that if we cut ourselves off from nature, we lose something. So
Yeah.
you've also got, life and death, wilderness and civilization. They're all bound together in that story as well. So that's quite an interesting one, I think.
I can see why these folklore tales are actually why they're still popular today. Like you say, this because people are thinking more about nature and getting back out into nature,
Yeah.
and we've become so disconnected from nature. So yeah, it's all about that. It really, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, if you pop that slide on, there's a little picture of there's Enkidu with his little horns.
That's a great image.
Yeah, so that's a very old story there with that
Yeah,
motif there, but, he's not got he's not got, like, the foliage coming out of his face or anything like that. He's more of a
yeah,
motif, and, some people say Robin Hood as well is a motif because he's a guardian of the forest and, a protector and, y
yeah. I've seen it in the chat, and I've also had a few people say it about Robin Hood, Herne the
mm,
Hunter, Pan. That
yeah.
all of these kind of characters that are kind of linked to the forest and linked to nature. That these kind of characters appear again and again. Do you think these are just different forms of the same person, basically?
I think so. I think they're all part of that archetype, that thing in the psyche where we've got this nature kind of spirit, this nature protector,
Yeah,
and that all the stuff with life and rebirth there. So yeah, I think they are. Yeah.
yeah, fantastic. So obviously these, I mean, these kind of these characters, these have become kind of widespread, in different, like I say, in
Mm.
different forms, different stories, different appearances of people. Do you think that's why this person has kind of remained, throughout the generations, and why that he's still popular today? And
Yeah, I think he's almost timeless and very adaptable. He connects us to nature, and
yeah,
that's quite relevant today with environmental concerns going on. He's also mysterious. I mean, his origins are uncertain. Nobody really knows their theories.
yeah,
So people can project their own meaning onto him.
yeah,
So yeah, he's ancient and modern. He's
yeah,
kind
yeah,
and
yeah.
terrifying. He's pagan and Christian. He's very flexible, and I think that's what keeps him alive in folklore and popular culture.
Absolutely, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
I'm just gonna just pop on here. Just this one. This is amazing. I mean,
Aha. So yeah, this is kind of coming on to like some of my favorite examples.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. This
So
is a great sculpture. This one.
this is probably not the first Green Man I ever saw, because I'm pretty sure I probably saw one in like the local church. But I come from Norfolk originally, and this is in Norwich Cathedral. So that would be one of probably the first or early ones that I saw.
Yeah,
And I really like him because he's in gold rather than green. And a lot of them are in gold in churches. They're not necessarily painted in green.
I was going to say paint. I mean, I've hardly seen any that have been
Mm.
painted. They're usually just in stone, aren't they? I mean, were they originally painted, or
I think some of them would have been. I guess a lot of the churches used to be more decorative, and then over time, for various reasons, those decorations removed,
yeah.
or colours faded. But yeah, this one is quite impressive because he's gold there, and I don't know. I don't think he's that creepy looking. But
No, he's. I mean, that's the
looks
thing.
looks quite friendly.
There are so many that are kind of slightly sinister and
Mm,
slightly creepy, but this seems. I don't know why. It's the fact that
yeah,
his face has been painted well. He's got blue eyes and he's got gold
yeah.
surrounding him. He looks kind of cool, really.
Yeah, his face is disappearing into the leaves a little bit, isn't he? He's just peeking out. I quite like
Yeah,
him. This one is at Kilpeck Church in Herefordshire. I quite like that because that almost looks a bit Celtic, doesn't it? Like how
yeah,
it's done. And there are kind of examples in Celtic art of similar things that seem to have inspired some of these older ones, like some of the patterns and stuff. So I quite like that one. Slightly weirder looking, but
yeah.
um,
I know. Yeah, not like the other guy at all.
yeah, he's definitely a face, but he looks a bit Looks a bit fishy to me, a bit
Yeah,
fish
he is
facey.
very kind of
Something of
fishy-like.
the Innsmouth about this one with his goggly eyes.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. This
oh,
guy
I love
looks
this
kind
one.
of, I mean, this guy looks like a rugby baller, or no, like a
Yeah.
football or something. But yeah, this is
This
amazing.
this one's great. So, I think I read that Roslin Chapel in Scotland, which is the chapel associated with the Knights Templar,
Yeah,
apparently there's loads and loads of green men throughout that chapel. And yeah, this is a good example of one of them. He's got such a naughty face, hasn't he?
he's got a very naughty face and like a really piggy nose, and
Yeah.
just
So
yeah,
yeah, he's a good one. I like him.
yeah, he's great. I mean, that's lovely. This one's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's kind of a beautiful face there.
Yeah,
And that's in South Westminster in Nottinghamshire, and that's a 14th century carving. And yeah, I like how his little hands are like holding the branches there.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
I
it's
mean,
quite.
I'm assuming that the peak of all these sculptures were medieval times.
Yeah, I think they started in the churches like from the 12th century onwards, really, and yeah,
Yeah.
definitely medieval times.
So
This is a more recent one, and that was on King Charles III's coronation invitation in 2023.
isn't that
Um,
interesting?
so he
Yeah,
went for a green man there.
yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know if that's
obviously, he's
mm,
showing his love of nature and things like that.
yeah,
It's interesting
yeah,
that he decided to include the Green Man amongst all of
yeah.
it.
So that shows how he's still very popular and still used as a symbol.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh,
Now,
this beautiful.
so this is one of the ones that I find interesting because you can see it's definitely like a green man type motif there with
Yeah,
a tree basically coming out of the mouth and growing up. But this is from the 8th century. It's a Jain temple in um, Rajasthan in India. So that's not European, and that very much predates
a-
the ones in the churches here.
yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, that's also you're talking what 600-700 years
mm,
before all this kind of big interest in medieval England or in medieval in the UK
yeah,
by a long way.
exactly.
This is hundreds of years before.
And if you flip to the next one, there's another one there. So you've got on one side you've got an 8th century Jain temple foliate head. Um, once again, very long time ago. Then you've got the Green Man there, 14th century, and you see how similar those
Yeah,
two are as well. So
yeah,
this
really
is
similar.
this is where I'm leaning towards them actually coming out of India and coming across, the Arab world to Europe and then Britain, because you've got
You can
examples like
see that.
that.
I mean, I always thought that anything pagan would have come, like you say, from the
Mm,
Celts, would have come maybe from the Norse kind of tradition and things like that. But really, we're kind of linking this to the Middle East and to
mm,
Asia, really, aren't we?
exactly. So you've got that eerie similarity between these heads from different eras and different continents, and I just find that fascinating. And yeah, for me, I quite like the idea that it's come across from India.
Yeah, absolutely. And but we don't know why, or do we know why it stemmed from India particularly, or was there a particular?
Could just be art. The As I say, traders going over there, seeing these beautiful sculptures,
Yeah,
getting ideas and bringing it across. You know,
absolutely.
so yeah, they're quite lovely.
Okay. Oh, actually, we'll come on
Yeah.
to the things in a second. What I'll just say. I mean, the I mean, before we kind of move on, I'll get onto people's. I mean, anybody watching this, it is absolutely fascinating. So, um, Emma, like I say, well, as ever, if you have questions about this, and you may well do, because it's a really for the likes of me and for lots of people who this, like we said, he's a very enigmatic figure, a very
Mm,
mysterious figure. There's lots of unknowns about this guy. So if if you've got questions for Emma about the Green Man, start thinking about them. Start thinking about putting them into the chat. And if you do put them in the chat, if you start with a big capital Q, then it makes it a lot easier for me to spot, and I'm less likely to forget. So just before we got into people's questions and things,
mm,
um, he like I say, it was very popular in medieval times. He's still popular now, and I think for
Yeah.
those, you can still see the Green Man everywhere. I mean, and we talked about pubs and things, but a lot of people have the Green Man sculptures in their gardens, in modern times. So I think this is a symbol that hasn't gone away.
Yeah, yeah. And I think kind of he's probably gained. I think he's gained in popularity because we're kind of like in environmental crisis,
Yeah,
and people he's popped up, and people are ascribing their ideas onto him. So they
yeah,
see him as a protector, guardian of nature. Um, there's the rebirth, there's the cycle of life and death, and from what I was reading, like some countercultures have kind of like see him as an alternate icon.
yeah,
So he's been adopted as a deity by New Agers, for example, and pagans and Wiccans, and some other another cultural movements in the 60s and 70s, apparently. Um, and it's almost like he's been invented, like the modern incarnation of him has been invented for a world kind of realizing that we're degrading our planet. So,
yeah.
he's almost like, the King
Do
Arthur
you
or the Robin Hood kind of coming to
do you think
help us in a
he's
way.
do you think he's going to become more popular as time goes on? As we become more kind of disconnected to nature and things, do you think he will
I
pop up
think he
everywhere?
I
Or
think he may do, because you're seeing a resurgence in. I mean, obviously that Jack in the Green festival. Um, People assume that that's a green man. He's not
yeah,
technically, but popular idea is that he's a bit of a green man. Um, but that's kind of starting to get more popular these days. I think it like in Bristol, he started up again in the 90s. It kind of died out like in Victorian times. Then in the 90s, it started up again. And I
yeah,
think we're seeing this resurgence in like people enjoying folklore and different, you things like the Green Man. Um, so I think people are trying to reconnect in some
yeah.
way with that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Stu was asking here, serious question. Is there any link to the green children of Wool Pit?
Other than the colour green, I don't think so. I mean, the Green Children of Woolpit, I'm not an expert on, but I did see Deborah Hyde's excellent. She did a YouTube series on it, and I saw a
Yeah,
talk at Black Shuck Festival by her. I mean, there's different theories. Some people believe they were fairies. Their skin was green, but they think it might have been due to what they were eating, or
yeah,
maybe something they weren't eating enough of. Um, and there's more kind of normal theories that they might have been Flemish children,
yeah.
kind of. So yeah, they're not necessarily to do with that, but I like the idea they could be fairies or fae folk.
So yeah, JG's asking if there's a green man, is there a green woman? Asking for a friend.
There aren't many of them, but there are instances. When I've been doing my research, I have read of some green women, or there's ones that they think are green men, but
Yeah.
have quite feminine faces, so they're not sure. They're quite androgynous, some of them.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there's not a lot of green women. It might be that the idea of a goddess, the feminine goddess is more kind of in keeping with that side, and the
Yeah.
green man as the her counterpart. But yeah, there's not a lot in churches, but there are some.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
interesting because you mentioned kind of these symbols in cows, but not
Mm,
women, which
yeah,
is like
yeah.
anyway. Um, Roger saying, Emma, why is it that an essentially pagan symbol appears on so many Christian sites of worship?
Well, that's the thing. It's not necessarily pagan. It may be something that's sprung up from Christian stories as well.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I like the idea of it being a pagan symbol and things, but as I say, when you look at the kind of scholarly works on it, there isn't actually the evidence to back up that it was actually a pagan thing in the churches.
Do you think?
Um,
I was to say, do you think it was more of a decorative thing? Because it definitely
yeah,
seems to be quite a nice decorative,
yeah,
making people think about nature,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the glory of God and however you want to kind of,
I think
put it
I think
across.
in churches and stuff, I think it's probably more decorative. I mean, I've read some bits and pieces saying that when they were building a lot of these churches, it was when they were kind of taking away freedom of being in the forests and woods and stuff to regular people. So they built the churches to be like forests almost, you know, big tall structures and stuff. I don't know if there's truth in that. It's a nice idea, you know, putting your green man in the corner. And I like the idea of the green man being a little pagan symbol in the corner, kind of
exactly,
keeping down, reminding people. But yeah, there isn't. Yeah, when you look at it, there isn't the kind of the actual scholarly evidence of it.
Yeah.
But,
okay, Catherine's saying, even though they weren't gods, would the symbol have been worshipped? I.e., would offerings have been made towards them?
The green men in churches, or
I think. Well, I mean, I suppose in any kind of respect, I suppose people have kind of.
It depends on. I mean, they're all different, aren't they? So you've got if you're looking at the motif, the archetype, you've got Dionysus. You know, you've got Pan. I mean, these are all deities, aren't they? They're all gods. They're all ones that would have been worshipped. You know, there's Herne the Hunter. I think there's also like other horned gods from Celtic times. I can never remember how to pronounce its name. Kernunos.
Somebody would be like, yeah, that's fine. We'll go with that.
That dude, anyway, with big horns. Yeah, so those types would have been worshipped, yeah, but once again, they're all different, but they're the archetype, aren't they? The symbol, the motif.
Yeah.
The ones in churches, I don't think so. I think they would have been decorative things, and maybe, as I say, there's links to some kind of perhaps biblical stories and things in how they were made.
Joan is asking, sorry if you've covered this, do we know what type of foliage is being primarily represented, and could this help with identifying his origin?
There's lots of types, actually, but oh god, what's the name? I think it's Arcanthus. I can't remember. There's a particular type of leaf which is used very often, and it's one that's really really hard to kill in your garden, apparently.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's where maybe some of the rebirth and regeneration comes from as well.
Yeah.
But no, the leaves can be all kinds of different things, but there is a favorite, but I can't, as I say, I can't remember I'm not very good with my my foliage.
Yeah, but it is interesting in itself that they go for one particular type of plant that's difficult to kill. So obviously it'd be quite abundant. So therefore it's just showing how the abundance of nature and things, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So that one is used quite often. So
there we go. Snappy saying, when did the green man become associated with the triple goddess? Is that modern or going back to medieval times?
I think I don't know much about the triple goddess, but I think probably the links with the green man is probably more modern. You know, links with pagan neo-pagans and things like that. So it's probably relatively recent.
Yeah.
So
yeah, somebody else, Daily Boy, saying same similar kind of question. Was there a green woman, which we've kind of already talked about? Nigel's just, it's not really a question, but it's this comment is saying how appropriate it is to discuss the green man and connections to nature on the day when yet another runway is announced for more aeroplanes in London. Yeah, absolutely, Nigel. Let's get down here. One here. Ashleen's saying, are there any green men in Ireland apart from people the day after St. Patrick's Day?
I don't know for sure, but when I've been reading about it, there isn't a lot apparently, which surprised me. You know, because you associate it with you know, Celtic things and stuff like that. But from what I was reading, it's been kind of more popular in the UK than it is in Ireland.
See, I'd have thought that, you know, Ireland being so green would have also had this same character.
You think, but I think maybe things like the Shalana gig and things like that are a bit more common over there. That's the lady with her Rudy bits open.
Amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a bit more common over there than the green man. So I think there are, but not a lot, not compared to like in churches over here.
Yeah. Kaz is saying, is there a different meaning between the green or gold leaves, or is it just a decorative thing?
I think it's just a decorative thing with the ones in churches. I do think it's probably a decorative motif rather than a pagan thing in the churches.
Yeah. Saying, what's that? Should we petition for a green man emoji? Stu,
why not? Go
start
for
it up. Why not?
Go for it.
Yeah. Speak to the
And a
powers
green
that
woman.
be.
A green woman as well.
Yeah. Another one here saying, is the green man linked to spirits of an elemental nature?
I think the motif is, yeah, I mean, because he's linked to the environment, nature, the power of nature, chaos, everything like that. So yeah, he would have a link to that. But yeah, that would be the motif, the archetype. You know, the thing we call the green man is, you know, as I say, he's the foliate heads in the churches and our kind
Yeah.
of modern interpretation.
Stu, what's this? How did the green man end up flashing at pedestrians by the roadside? Do you know what, Stu?
He's a protector.
There you go. See? Why not? Sniper saying, was he in the Origins of Morris Dancing where he appears as a fool, or is that more modern?
I think it's probably more modern. I've not seen where he appears as a fool, but I think it's probably a more modern thing because a lot of the more, as I say, like with the Green Man and some of the festivals are a bit more modern incarnations or
Yeah.
ideas, inspired from, you know, the archetype.
And Mike Mystery is saying, have you ever heard of a connection with the Green Man and the quest of Seth?
If that's linked to Seth, the son of Adam, I'm not. If that's the
Yeah,
one,
I think
I'm
that's
kind of
you mentioned that earlier,
yeah,
didn't you? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I've heard of that connection, and you know the tree growing out of the mouth because of placing the seeds inside. But yeah.
He seems like a character that would look awesome in stained glass, but I can't remember
Ooh,
seeing him in any church windows. Do you know of any?
I do. I've not seen it myself, even though I was there recently. But apparently, in St Mary Redcliffe in Bristol, there is a stained glass. It's quite small from the picture I saw, but there is a stained glass green man in there.
Okay.
So if there's one there, there's probably more out there. But I think it's most common as the sculptures on, you know, architectural sculptures. You do get him on like pew ends and that kind of stuff, bench ends. But yeah, I do know there is definitely at least one stained glass one.
Okay, excellent. And Catherine is saying, can Emma suggest any good books to learn more on the subject?
Ooh, I can. Let's see what I've got over here. Me hoik one out. I mean, I love to read and collect books, so I have got quite a lot. And they, you know, some of them are smaller. I mean, The Green Man, Spirit of Nature by John Matthews. That's quite a little one, but I enjoyed that. That kind of covered a lot of the basics. There was one by Mike Harding. I don't know what I've done with that.
I'm just gonna I've just flipped you slightly. So if you show a book, it's the right way round now. There you go.
Yeah, so that was quite a nice little one. There's one by Mike Harding. There it is. The Little Book of the Green Man, and that doesn't sound very academic, but it covers all of the bases in there, and you've got some of the quite a lot of nice pictures of different things. I mean, that one, Tibetan Buddhist heads, if you can see that properly.
Oh yeah.
So you know that's got quite a bit in there, and I've read there's several different books. I quite enjoyed The Secret of the Green Man's Soul by Kenneth MacIntosh. That's a little bit more from a Christian perspective, but I enjoyed it. You've got Nina Lyon, Uprooted, On the Trail of the Green Man.
Oh my word, you've got loads.
I've
got loads of books.
I've got a whole stack down there. So if anyone wants any recommendations, if you find my my Facebook page,
Right,
just
let's put this.
I'll
put this on the. let me just change this, and there we go. Got all the details around how you can follow Emma Ghostcatcher Isles. So there we go.
Yeah, so you've got my blog there. And, I'm more often on Facebook and Instagram, but I do pop on to Blue Sky and Twitter just to see what's happening. So
just because the email's cut off, is it gmail.com?
That is
ghostcatcherisles@gmail.com if you've got email for Emma. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, please do just make sure you follow Emma, Ghost Catcher Isles blog, and Facebook. There we go. Make a note. I'm sure you'll be able to find it Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
Blue Sky, and on Twitter, X, whatever.
I'll
Twitter.
try to do a little bit of a book list on there and post that up tomorrow. So if anyone's interested in any further reading, further study, they
Yeah,
can
that'd be
always pop on
amazing.
there and grab it.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm just I did spot one last little question. Hang on a minute, where was it? I've got to go back now. There you go. Ali from Hauntex TV is saying, is there a connection between the little green man and farmers' livestock in Ireland being killed years ago? Not sure if it is or not. Maybe I dreamt it, but it definitely rings the bell. There we go.
I've not heard of that, but that sounds intriguing. So I might have to look into it. So I can't answer your question, but I'm fascinated by that idea.
Yeah, I know. I've got to say, I've never. Ali, did you dream it?
I mean, is that a leprechaun or an actual little green man?
I don't know.
Or an alien?
I don't know.
I've got more questions than answers. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, absolutely. I think we're done with questions, which is amazing. And I know that Weird Fox and Diana things have been kind of posting kind of links as we've been going through the stream and stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to put your links back on here. So I'm assuming this is the best way for people if they've got questions for you or if they want to follow you and your blog. Just want to say again the kinds of things you talk about in your blog before we finish.
I'm a bit eclectic with what I write on there, but I talk about ghosts, paranormal, Forteana, anything really. I just love everything a bit unusual and weird. I've also you can find me I'm in a few anthologies as well. I was in the last volume of The Feminine Macabre. I wrote about Mary Curie.
Yeah.
I've been in not Weird in the Wold, in Not of This Wold.
Yes, in the anthology books. Yeah.
Kate Cherrell did that, and I've got a story in there about a cursed train.
Amazing.
And in W.J. Gilbert's book about Erie, England. I've got there's a family story of mine in there, and he's not put my name in, but that is my family story called The Care Home Entity. So there's a little bit of writing out there as well, and also Haunted Magazine and unexplained.ie. I'm often on there posting bits and pieces.
Writing all over the place. I mean, Diane Mamad just saying all the things we love, Emma, which is absolutely right. The fact that you've got all of these different avenues that you like to dip into.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think everyone at home can appreciate and can agree with me. You have got an amazing knowledge of the Green Man. And I think you have educated many, many people in this podcast.
Thank you. I plan to write an article on it, so I'm hoping this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if not a blog post.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be perfect because there are. I think there's still so many people out there that just don't really know about the Green Man. Because unless you're really into folklore, there's this. Yes, you occasionally might see a Green Man sculpture in a church, but you probably don't give it much of a second thought. And I think you've definitely educated me because I had absolutely no idea that it came from the likes of India. I always thought it was an English thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject. And I didn't, before I kind of started looking into it after that Jack in the Green thing last year, I'd just seen it, as I say, like, going into Glastonbury, little things in shops and, garden centres, little sculptures that people have in their garden, that kind of thing. I'd thought, oh yeah, he's a pagan thing, didn't know too much about it, and kind of looking into it, it's such an interesting subject, really kind of nebulous and still mysterious, because a lot of it we still don't know. I mean, why did they carve those things in those temples in the 8th century? There's still a lot of the unknown to it, so he's quite fascinating.
It is really fascinating to me. I mean, it's like really fascinating how it stems from the likes of India, goes into the Middle East, and the theory is that it just traveled with traders across to us, and now they're everywhere.
And now he's kind of taken on his own folklore, isn't he? Because he's now linked with ecology and environmentalism and all of that kind of stuff. That's creating a new thing for him.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, he's good. Good things to
Just
learn
do
about.
one last little question. Snappy saying, have you ever seen the Abbots Bromley horn dance dating back to the 1200s?
I haven't, but I saw, I had a couple of pals at Strange Days who were going to it, just after, and they were telling me about it, and that sounds really interesting. I would like to see that one day. And I've had an invite next year to go to is it the Whitlingsea Straw Bear?
Oh,
Probably said the wrong name
that's
there, but
no. But I know exactly what you're on about, and
yeah,
it's. I mean, I do. I've got to say, I've got a bit of a soft spot for there's some very strange customs and traditions that we have in this country.
yeah.
Some very, very strange ones. There's one near me called the Haxey Hood,
Ah,
which
oh,
is
yeah, I've heard that.
the Isle of Axe home, which is essentially a mass brawl, for want of a better word, between two villages. It's amazing. um,
Why not fight it out every
exactly,
year and then they'll be
but
friends?
there is something I kind of strangely love about the whole, the whole kind of paganistic Wicker Man,
Yeah.
slightly sinister, weird stuff that we have in this country. I just find it really fascinating. I think it's great that we still have them, to be honest.
I think there's a bit of a resurgence of interest in it as well. So I think that's quite good, and I think I don't know where that's come from. Maybe that's because people have lost connection with nature and
Yeah,
their home, maybe their culture, and I think there's a bit of a resurgence in kind of interest in folk customs and stuff.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I love it. I love to go and see these things.
Yeah, but it is. They are, fascinating and bizarre, and like I say that there are they're still kind of shrouded in mystery. Emma from Ghost Catch Isles, thank you so much for tonight. It's been so interesting, so interesting. I'm sure everyone's absolutely loved the chat, and this hour has flown
It
by.
has, and I had so many more notes that I could have gone on for hours. So
If you can, you want, you
no,
can by all means.
I've got some pizza waiting for me in the other room. So
Oh yeah, takes priority, obviously.
it does. But yeah, it was lovely talking to you about it, and yeah, keep your eyes peeled for an article or a blog post if you're interested in the Green Man, because I hope to do that
Absolutely.
soon.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, if you put the blog posts up, obviously, if you tag me in it, I'll repost them as well on Facebook and things like that. So yeah, thank you. It's been really, really great having you on tonight.
Lovely.
Please do follow. I'm going to put him on again. Please do follow Emma. There you go. Go and the blog, Ghost Catcher Isles blog. Follow it. Follow her on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, all over the place. Share, because Emma, as you can tell this evening, knows her stuff. And it's endlessly fascinating thing. Thank you so much, Emma. We'll leave it there. I do not want your pizza to get cold. You can relax now. Yeah. There you go. All done. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. And like I said, enjoy your pizza, and hopefully we'll speak again in the future. Right. Thank you. Thanks, Emma. And enjoy the rest of your night. Cheers. Thank you. Okay. Right, everybody. And again, Kaza, thank you so much. I've got people saying, make sure you say thank you to Kaza. I did kind of type it, but it may have got lost. Thank you so much for all your support, and genuinely thank you so much. If you've enjoyed tonight, please do think about subscribing. If you've not subscribed, it's free. Please do kind of think about subscribing. Got some brilliant guests kind of lined up in future as well. Not least, we've got a whole number of people next. There's no Chips Tea Party this Thursday, but next week I'm speaking to another psychic medium called Ian Griffiths. He's been doing psychic mediums for a while, so we're going to see a little bit like some of the psychic mediums I've spoken to, see what he says about his the mediumistic ability that he has. But yeah, thank you for all your comments, for everybody, for the love, the sharing, and all your questions as well. And when I don't think you'll be able to hype this yet, because I think it's got a process for a few, after it's got to be published and processed and whatever. So you may not be able to hype it straight away, but by tomorrow, hopefully you can go back and hype this video. It'd be really, really well appreciated. Thank you for everybody in the chat again. Please do thumbs up, like, what to do, and share it if you've enjoyed tonight. And yeah, thanks again to Emma. It's been awesome. So yeah, Ian Griffiths next Monday. That's what's coming up. And just to kind of, I've put it on social media a bit, but coming up in October, I managed to collar, literally collar Richard Felix from Most Haunted. Bless him, he couldn't get away. So I managed to get hold of Richard Felix, and I emailed him and I said, Richard, do you mind if I do the whole podcast about Most Haunted? You know, because I've had him on before talking about ghosts and this and that, and but I and he was open when he did his talk at the Parameet at the weekend. He was quite open by talking about a bit about Most Haunted. So I wanted to do the whole podcast about Most Haunted, and the reason why on social media it's called Most Haunted No Holds Barred is because that is exactly what Richard said to me. He said, yeah, absolutely fine. No holds barred. We're going to, we shall be definitely putting that to the test, because I'm going to be asking him all kinds of things about Most Haunted. And you at home are going to have the opportunity to ask him about fakery, about Derek Akora, about his relationship with Yvette and Carl. You name it, it's going to be a really, really good one. That is going to be happening a week or so before Halloween. So put it in your diaries. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's going to be a really, really good one. Okay, enough of all that. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I shall see you again very, very soon. All right. Thanks again, guys. And I shall see you in a week. Okay. Bye-bye.